headlines of this hour on VTV News. National Assembly deputies raise issues on disasters response, electricity rising, and cultural development. And Vietnam, China signed protocols to facilitate official export of 3 key Vietnamese products to China. In our world news, economy is a top concern for American voters.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to VTV News. I'm Huynh Trân with the top stories. The Personnel Subcommittee of the 14th Party Congress held its second session on Wednesday morning, chaired by Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm, who is also the head of the subcommittee. During the session, the subcommittee reviewed the draft report on the summary of personnel from the 13th Central Committee and the direction for personnel work for the 14th Central Committee. They also discussed draft proposals for the Politburo's review of these matters after consulting relevant organizations and agencies as required. The results of the 13th Central Committee personnel works will serve as a crucial basis for developing personnel-related directions for the 14th Congress. The party and state leader affirmed that personnel work must be conducted with urgency and caution, ensuring unity within the party while maintaining its leadership role. Selected personnel must possess leadership capabilities, professional expertise, and credibility both within the party and among the people. The preparation process must be direct, comprehensive, and prioritize the interests of the party, the nation, and the people above all else. The National Assembly Standing Committee conducted a Q&A session on Wednesday to review the government's and relevant ministries' adherence to 6 resolutions. These concern the questioning and specialized oversight of the National Assembly Standing Committee from the beginning of the 15th term through the end of 2023. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn emphasized that this is the first time during the 15th National Assembly term that the Standing Committee has carried out follow-up supervision. This demonstrates a commitment to a thorough oversight of the implementation of National Assembly recommendations. He also noted that the issues addressed in this session are crucial, aiming to provide a comprehensive evaluation and find timely solutions. He expressed confidence that government members and sector heads would provide candid responses and offer specific solutions to achieve the set objectives and tasks. The Ministers of Agriculture and Rural Development, Industry and Trade, and Culture, Sports and Tourism responded to National Assembly deputies' questions on Wednesday morning, addressing key concerns in their respective fields. More to follow.
During the National Assembly's Q&A session on Wednesday, deputies requested the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development propose solutions for relocating people in areas at risk of landslides.
What are the solutions for relocating people in areas affected by natural disasters, especially landslides and riverbank and coastal erosion?
The ministry has organized many seminars with experts, scientists, and localities to synchronously deploy solutions to relocate people in areas prone to erosion and landslide. We are also evaluating urgent problems and building infrastructure to minimize risks to the Mekong Delta. The Ministry of Planning and Investment has largely agreed on the investment items for the Mekong Delta.
Deputies assessed that the power supply for production and consumption has improved lately and requested that the Ministry of Industry and Trade review the current electricity pricing.
The current step pricing is not suitable for people's needs. Please explain this issue.
Stepped electricity pricing is a common practice in many countries, encouraging customers to use electricity economically and effectively. In Vietnam, the average electricity price includes 6 tiers. We have submitted to the government an amendment of Regulation 28 to reduce the number of price tiers from 6 to 5.
Deputies also raised questions about policies to develop the cultural industry in the near future.
Has the ministry started on the policy for cultural industry development? If so, can it be announced when this policy will be completed?
We have reevaluated and identified 12 sectors in cultural industry. Out of these 12, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism only manages 5 sectors. The rest are handled by different ministries and branches. Contributions of the cultural industry to the economy account for a high proportion.
The Q&A session continues on Wednesday afternoon and will be broadcast live on television.
Vietnam and China recently signed up protocols to facilitate official exports of fresh coconuts, frozen durians, and crocodiles to China. This significant development creates substantial opportunities for Vietnamese agricultural products in China's market of 1.4 billion people.
China is currently the largest export market for Vietnamese agricultural goods. Experts and managers forecast a strong increase in the scale and value of agricultural exports thanks to the additional approval for official exports. Among the 3 products, frozen durians are expected to make a notable contribution to Vietnam's agricultural export revenue. The official opening of the Chinese market is projected to boost frozen durian exports to $500 million USD this year, bringing the total value of both fresh and frozen durian exports to $3.5 billion USD. Vietnam is also one of the world's leading producers and exporters of coconuts. The new protocol is expected to increase fresh coconut exports by an additional 200 to 300 million this year, pushing the total export value above 1 billion USD. Crocodiles is the 3rd product to benefit from the new protocol. The crocodile farming industry in Vietnam has developed over the past 30 years. Products such as crocodile meat, skin, and other parts are all of high economic value. Approval for official export to China will help drive sustainable development in Vietnam's crocodile farming sector, adhering to environmental and animal welfare standards.
To export sustainably and protect the reputation and brand of Vietnamese durian in the Chinese market amid rising competition, the management of farming area codes needs to be strengthened. The agricultural sector in the Central Highlands is implementing numerous solutions to enhance the management of durian growing areas.
Krong Pak District in Dak Lak Province is implementing stricter management and enhanced inspection of durian production, packaging and sales as a solution to improve the management of durian growing areas.
We in the business community take responsibility for protecting agriculture and the durian industry. We must ensure quality throughout the entire process and create good products for consumers, and that starts with growing areas.
We have to come up with strict criteria and organize inspections to enhance product quality.
Krong Pak District currently has about 9,000 hectares of durian. To date, the district has been granted 37 area codes by the General Department of Customs of China over an area of 2,000 hectares.
We ensure that management of growing areas is carried out properly, avoiding false labeling of inferior products.
To further manage durian growing areas, the Dak Lak Department of Agriculture and Rural Development will conduct unannounced inspections at both growing sites and packaging facilities.
Now, at the end of last week, Vietnam's 5% broken rice traded at $575 per ton. Similarly, Vietnam's 25% broken rice also increased to $539 per ton, higher than similar products from Thailand and Pakistan. This marks an impressive comeback for Vietnamese rice, as just a month ago, the export prices of Vietnamese rice were lower than those of Thailand, Pakistan, and Myanmar. According to the Vietnam Food Association, demand from traditional buyers such as the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore remains high. Additionally, Vietnamese rice exporters are actively expanding into new markets, including the Middle East, Africa, South America, Japan, and South Korea. The 2023 Housing Law and Decree 100 in 2024 have addressed shortcomings and removed obstacles in social housing development, meeting the expectations of businesses and people. These new regulations will have positive effects, helping localities attract investment for improved social housing projects and providing more opportunities for people to access social housing.
Hank is elated by the news that social housing buyers can now secure a maximum loan of up to 1 billion Vietnam dong. With her savings and this loan support, her dream of home ownership is within reach.
We are thankful to the government for the new regulations, which will help us acquire our own houses.
The new regulations also relax income requirements for social housing buyers. Single individuals must have a monthly net income of 15 million Vietnam dong or less. For legally married couples, the combined monthly net income must not exceed 30 million Vietnam dong.
The new regulations make it easy for me to access social housing. If I own a house, I will feel that life will be less stressful and I will feel more comfortable with my spending.
Increasing the loan limit to 1 billion Vietnam dong will provide policy beneficiaries with practical benefits, helping them have more financial resources to access social housing projects.
This policy is very practical. The previous loan limit was 500 million Vietnam dong, but now, with the rising prices of construction materials and labor, the loan limit is no longer sufficient. The new limit of 1 billion Vietnam dong will bring much more benefits to people who are looking to buy social houses.
Beyond improving access to social housing, experts also recommend streamlining administrative procedures for lending and applicant selection. They also emphasize that to attract buyers, projects should cater to workers' needs to providing essential amenities and being located near schools or recreational areas.
Now, before we move on to other important updates, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rates of today, August 21st. Coming up next on VTV News. Heavy rain triggers severe flooding, kills one in northern provinces. And Ninh Thuận supports poor families before the new school year. According to reports from Chiêm Hóa District, Tuyên Quang Province, heavy rain on Tuesday night caused a person to be swept away by floodwaters while crossing a temporary bridge in Tân Hội village, Tân An commune. The victim's body was found at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. In Mỏ Vàng commune, Văn Yên district, Yên Bái province, the downpour caused water levels to rise, flooding roads, temporary bridges, and even some homes. A warning for continued heavy rain in the northern mountainous and midland regions remains in effect until the morning of August 23rd. Residents are advised to be vigilant against flash floods, landslides on slopes and roads, and flooding in low-lying areas. In Tiền Giang province, a series of measures have been implemented to protect coastal dikes and prevent erosion. The most notable achievement has been the construction of wave-dissipating dikes along the Gò Công coastline. Since the dike's completion, erosion has ceased, providing reassurance to local residents and boosting agricultural productivity.
Located close to the sea, a 3-hectare shrimp farming area is no longer at risk of erosion. This is due to the 5-kilometer wave-dissipating dike installed as part of the Gò Công Coastal Dike Upgrade Project. The project has brought significant relief to local farmers, including Hùng.
We have been able to have peace of mind ever since the dikes were built. Our concerns related to agricultural production, landslides and coastal erosion have been alleviated. We have combated coastal erosion for years before these dikes were built. Sometimes dozens of meters of land were worn down. Luckily, it's no longer as frequent. We can plant our crops without worry, especially sea farming.
15 years ago, Dianzhang province renovated a 16-kilometer stretch of coastal dike and constructed approximately 8 kilometers of protective dikes at the most vulnerable sections. In 2021, the government supported the construction of about 9 kilometers of hollow concrete dikes along the Gokong coastline.
These dikes have proven successful, significantly reducing wave impact and promoting sediment accumulation. Monitoring data indicates sediments build up ranging from 0.5 to 0.7 meters in some areas. Certain locations have been substantial growth of mangrove and other coastal vegetation.
The Gokong coastal dike can withstand storms up to Category 8 and 9 and effectively mitigate the impact of high tides and strong coastal winds during the rainy season. The project safeguards approximately 43,000 hectares of farmland, benefiting around 600,000 households in Jiangao district.
Now, even during natural disasters, heartwarming stories emerge. In the flood-hit area of Sonla nearly a month ago, thousands of households suffered heavy losses due to floods and landslides. To this day, some families still haven't been able to return home. However, they are receiving support from the community to overcome these difficulties.
Hua's family is now focusing on caring for the livestock that survived the flood, striving to stabilize their lives after the disaster. After the terrible flood at the end of July, they lost their home and all their fields. Despite this, the family was fortunate to receive timely support to relocate their house and safeguard their property, livestock and poultry.
Thanks to my relatives, aunts, uncles and local authorities for helping me. I am now stable and feel better.
In Ban Lam commune, 23 other households also received similar support from their relatives in the village. Not only did they help each other relocate their houses and property during the natural disaster, but their new safe residential areas were also given to them by their relatives.
It used to be my brother's place. It's the pity, but I don't have a place to stay and don't know what to do.
Phie Nghe village in Chiangdan commune, Sonla City. Despite a month passing since the flood, 39 houses here remain deeply submerged in water. Locals still have to stay with others. In simple, narrow steel houses, residents extend helping hands to those in need, aiding each other through this difficult time.
For my current living situation, I have to stay at my uncle's house, and with relatives around here, it's so difficult.
My brother's house was flooded, so he can't stay there anymore. My house here is not flooded, so he can stay here. It's not a problem. We can help each other overcome this difficulty.
The floods have swept away almost all the homes and properties of thousands of families in Sonla. However, from that hardship, the spirit of mutual love and support of the whole community shines through. They have shared food and shelter and given each other the motivation to recover from the natural disaster.
Now, as the new school year approaches, localities and schools are finalizing preparations, which include upgrading facilities, repairing roofs, and organizing teaching materials to welcome students back to class. For families facing financial hardships, this time brings worry, especially about covering initial expenses. In response, many localities are mobilizing resources to support children as they begin the new school year. Here are stories from Ninh Thuận province.
Her husband is bedridden due to a serious illness and needs constant care. Despite this, Than still tries to maintain a small snack shop. Although her daily income is less than $4 USD, it helps support her family of 3 school-aged children.
I think I'll let my kids stay home from school. They wanted to take extra classes recently, but Dad got seriously ill, so I let them all stay home.
The neighborhood and ward fronts also offer support, but only to a certain extent. Despite their challenges, these 3 children perform well academically. The older one is even working to help their mother.
The ward's fatherland for allocated 20 USD from the Poor Fund, secured 20 USD from donors, and obtained over 80 USD from the Farmers Association. This combined support helped the family purchase clothes and books and cover tuition fees.
Determined to prevent children from dropping out of school and ensure no one is left behind because of poverty, the Ninh Thuan Front has gone beyond direct support. At all levels, it has provided capital for families to develop their economies, giving them resources to raise their children.
I recently borrowed 1,600 USD to do business, and overall, I can take care of my children's education better than before.
The local support and community cooperation, through timely and meaningful gifts, have warmed the hearts of many poor families. This encourages children to strive harder and overcome life's difficulties.
Hanoi is gearing up to offer high-quality services for a group of 4,500 Indian visitors. The group will arrive in smaller batches between August 27 and September 7. Most of their time will be spent visiting and staying at around 10 luxury hotels in Hanoi. Currently, organizers are adding services that cater to the culture, preferences, and habits of the group, especially in terms of accommodation and cuisine. In addition to exploring Hanoi, the group will also visit Ha Long Bay in Quảng Ninh and the Chang'an Ecotourism Complex in Ninh Bình. Coming up next in our world news, economy is a top concern for American voters. And new robot trainer helps rehabilitate stroke survivors. Now moving on to our world news. Less than a month ago, Donald Trump stood on the stage of the Republican National Convention looking invincible. He had just survived an assassination attempt and was riding high in the polls. Now the former president has lost the lead to Vice President Kamala Harris.
This reversal showed that the proposals put forward in Harris' campaign speeches have resonated with the concerns of American voters.
Why I'm really excited to vote this year specifically for Kamala Harris, because I know that's kind of what she's fighting for. She just announced all of these broad economic programs that she wants to institute to help people like me buy a house for the first time, and to also help families in expansions like the child tax credit. Like, these are things that are really important for young people who want to be able to really live the American dream.
I really liked Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and I liked that other deal, that supply chain deal that he made, and the fact that she's just connected that, the fact that she has connective tissue and her cabinet has connective tissue to that makes me want to fully embrace her. But I also like her tax plans.
Gas prices going down, the economy, being able to have equal opportunity for jobs, better living wages.
Say important issues right now for me are, I would say, women's medical health, and then I would definitely say our economy, getting our economy back on track, making sure we're the #1 power in the world,
India and Japan reached several important agreements on security and defense cooperation at the third 2+2 Foreign and Defense Ministers meeting held on Tuesday. The two countries agreed to establish a new framework for security cooperation, aligning with their goal to expand their overall strategic relationship. The two sides reaffirmed their commitment to cooperate for peace and prosperity in a free and open Indo-Pacific region. They also discussed new directions in technology cooperation. Russia has created 3 new military units to strengthen security in its border regions with Ukraine. The decision was made at a meeting of the newly established Military Security Coordination Council for the border regions. Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov said the units will be named after the regions they are protecting: Belgorod, Bryansk, and Kursk. Their mission is to protect local residents and Russian territory from drone attacks and other offensive measures. The Russian Emergency Ministry said more than 122,000 people have followed orders from local authorities to evacuate Kursk, where the Ukrainian army launched a surprise offensive deep into Russian territory on August 6. Stroke survivors often face numerous difficulties during the rehabilitation process. Now, a new robot trainer can support them in performing exercises to regain mobility. This robot trainer is part of a pilot project researched and developed by a UK robotic research center. The robot communicates with the patient using a headset that monitors brain signals. It then processes the data to interpret the patient's intended movements during various exercises. The 3-month trial involved 16 stroke patients. Researchers hope that the robot trainer will provide an alternative solution for rehabilitation.
Your brain signals.
Yeah.
So we'll do some training with. It just kind of sits on like that, and then usually we have to adjust.
Now, as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.